Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this webinar from Nolan Business Solutions. My name is George Hadaway of Nolan partner Easy Software, and I'm here today to talk to you about Easy Contracts and the benefits of a contract management system for your business. So just to start off with a little bit of information about Easy Software, we are a document and content management company, a global organization with over 12,000 customers across the world. I've been around since 1990 and have a number of awards to our name in recent years for our solutions. As mentioned from the outset, we work very closely with Nolan Business Solutions, who take us to market in the UK market, specifically integrating our solutions into the ERP systems they sell, and most specifically Microsoft Dynamics GP. It's a selection of our customers here in the UK, so some names you might recognise, but we're not a sector-specific organisation. More often than not, our solutions are led by departmental requirements, and these departmental requirements are more often than not led by either a contract management process, a finance process, or perhaps an HR process. So we're here today to talk about a solution package, Easy Contract. We do have other solution packages as well, as mentioned, for other business processes such as HR and finance. So what is a contract? Well, a contract is defined as a document that is the basis for business activities among enterprises. Now, contracts are frequently complex and large documents. They are often related to time, so they have expiration dates, extension dates, termination. So a lot of data that requires revisiting and renegotiating. So a contract is usually a live document that often a lot of people need to collaborate on over a certain amount of time. And contracts have a large impact on the revenue of your business. I'm sure in every business there are a huge amount of contracts, be it on the sales side, actually bringing revenue into the business, or being on the procurement side, and money being spent for services to run the business on a day-to-day basis. So what do a lot of people do? Well, a lot of people are using all sorts of different ways internally to manage their contracts. They probably use a lot of different templates within the organization, maybe created out of Word, and communication and negotiation and collaboration for these contracts is probably using internal mail or email, which, as we know, isn't auditable or trackable. Finding the contracts themselves, usually we find that the contract is owned by the responsible employee or department. Maybe it's stored in a hard copy format in a filing system somewhere, or perhaps it's on someone's own C drive, or perhaps a shared drive on the network. Still not ideal for collaboration or allowing everyone in the organization that needs to see that information to be able to access it. And you find that this leads to a lot of copying and borrowing of files and not having one true picture of that document, and instead a lot of different versions over different areas and different parts of the organization. And then people usually manage these contracts and things like dates using a product like Excel, or deadline management via notes and reminders using Outlook. But again, this is a very manual process, and the relevant employee that's managing that contract needs to make sure they keep these notifications up to date. So what are the risks to this old-style manual contract management? Well, obviously getting contracts and retrieving them to be able to view is time-consuming when we don't know where they are. We don't know what the final version or last version was due to this different people having different versions. And as I say that, we're talking about collaboration. It's difficult to collaborate when you have different versions of documents being sent via email. We don't see the latest version or any changes or reviews to the document. They're of course time-consuming. There's a large risk of losing documents, and a big one for a lot of people looking for contract management system is failing to meet deadlines, and that's usually their biggest driver. Is they find that the terms in the contract they miss. If it's a sales contract that brings revenue into the organization, they're not being proactive and speaking to the customer before the contract ends. Instead, they're waiting for the contract to end. The customer has potentially gone elsewhere. If it comes to a procurement contract, are you getting the best deal out of that particular service? Because are you going and revisiting it early? Are you being able to look back through all the terms and all the other data around that contract that allow you to negotiate a better deal with your supplier? So a few facts and figures here, just to give you an idea of some of the numbers around contracts and how important they are to our business. So on average, about 68% of a company's revenues is through contracts, so a huge amount. So obviously we need to be better at organising our contractual data. A few other ones to pick out here. 51% of companies actually still have a fully manual contract management process, and only around 8% are fully automated with an end-to-end contract management system. And a large one at the bottom there is how 9% of revenue can be lost due to penalties, deadlines missed, lost sales, incorrect pricing related to contracts. So what sort of benefits can a contract management bring you? Well, on the purchasing side, you can talk about operating and processing costs being reduced by 10 to 30%. You can bring down the contract negotiation cycle by 50%. So obviously that's a huge time saving with regards to members of staff and the time they spend in that negotiation cycle. And then you can bring down the volume of erroneous payments being made due to not having the right information by up to 90%. And on the sales side, a good contract management system could increase your revenue by 1 to 2%. So think about that on your bottom line and what difference that would make just by having an electronic contract management system. If you have any ongoing renewal-based contracts, you can up your renewal revenue by 30%, which is obviously a huge number. And of course, an electronic contract management system will allow you to be completely compliant with all regulatory guidelines. And you can achieve a very rapid ROI as well with a contract management system, where you can see up to 150 to 200% payback within a year. So, Easy Contract itself. Well, the product has a number of functions, which I'm just going to run through here. So central to the solution itself is the contract is held within this central contract file. And around that, we can create contracts, we can store templates within the system, we can send them around the organization for verification and approval. We can obviously monitor different dates within the contract, so as well as maybe absolute renewal dates, there might be other terms or clauses within that contract that we want to track and remind ourselves of. We can do some liquidity planning in there, so if we have any financial information related to the contract, we can keep a track on that. And see what that contract is costing us or earning us over its life cycle, and then run reports based on this information. And of course, being a document management system at heart, we can search across the content, so we can search across any of the information we store alongside the contract, as well as search across the content in the body of the contractual documents themselves, so we can always get to the pertinent information. So now I'm going to take you through a short demonstration and show you some of the basic features and functions of Easy Contract. So Easy Contract is a web-based tool, and what that means is we access it through a web browser. It will work with any of the major web browsers, so Internet Explorer, Chrome, Safari, Firefox. That doesn't mean it's a cloud-based solution. You can purchase it in a cloud-based way, or you can have it on-premise stored on your own servers. It also links with Active Directory and single sign-on, or you can easily store our own database of username and passwords. It's completely up to you which you prefer. So in this instance, I'm just going to log in, so I will see my own personalized contract homepage here. And as I log in, the solution is split into two main areas. On the left here we have our navigation, and on the right here I have my workspace. So here is where I have any contracts or terms relating to me, or perhaps any groups that I'm a member of, where I can see reminders of anything that perhaps I have to action. Now, first and foremost, if there is something I need to do, if a contract is coming up for renewal, I will first of all be notified by email. So we understand you might not be in your contract management system all the time. You're likely to be in Outlook all the time, so you'll get an email with a hyperlink within there. So perhaps you have a contract that is due to expire. You'll click the link, it'll take you straight to that contract, and you can do what you need to do. So just moving down some of the navigation on the left, I'm going to show you some of the ways you can get to the information that you need. So the first thing I see here is my file tree view, where I can see all the different contract types I have set up in the system. And depending on the permissions I have and the contract types I'm allowed to see, I can filter my view. So I can say, show me everything in the system that I have access to see, so all contracts. And then I could perhaps change the view and the order of these based on the title or based on the date of expiry, so I can see anything that's due to come up for expiry first or last. I could then maybe filter this view further by contract type, again depending on my permissions, so I could see just my lease contracts, just my service contracts, or perhaps just my car leasing contracts. Another way of viewing the information is based on the terms. So instead of the contracts, it's the what have I got coming up for renewal and when. So here I can see things via this traffic light system, anything in the system that's overdue, currently active, currently open, coming up for renewal. And then perhaps I could filter that further by saying, well, actually, show me everything in the system is currently active, or perhaps show me just everything that's overdue. We mentioned at the start people using Outlook to track a lot of their reminders, and that's still possible here. But a nice function is being able to take any of our terms, and by clicking a button, the system will automatically create a diary entry for you, which will put that into your Outlook alongside the diary. It will take that. Put it into your Outlook calendar alongside a date when that is due for renewal. There we go. So moving down on the left, I mentioned we could log any payment series or any payments related to a contract, either incoming or outgoing, so we can see at a glance the kind of costs or earnings based on the contracts within the system. We can run reports based on any of the information within the system. So we can say, if we are recording any financial information, we can say, show me what this means to the business. How much are these contracts costing me? How much am I earning off them? We can create some nice charts and graphs as well to display these. And also at any point we can export them into Excel, perhaps if we wish to send these around to other people within the organization. We keep a database within the system of all your contractual partners and contractual persons related to these partners in the system. So that means it's a nice way of being able to access all the information related to your partners. So I can click in here, British Gas, I can find all the information related to them. But it also means I can see at a view, at this tab here, all the contracts I have related to that contractual partner. Another way of filtering information is perhaps by your organizational hierarchy. So by clicking on another tab here, you can build a hierarchy based on your organizational structure. So perhaps you'd want to view information just based on your international entity. So here I can see every contract related to Easy Software UK. Or perhaps I just want to see everything related to the Bury St Edmunds office of Easy Software UK. Or perhaps I want to filter that further and say, no, I just want to see any contracts related to the legal department of Bury St Edmunds of Easy Software UK. So again, it's a nice way of really being able to filter down the information related to the specific parts of the business. But not only that, it's a way to hand out permissions to people in the organization so you can make sure that only the right people in the right areas of the business see specific information. So let's look at a contract itself and some of the information we can store around a contract file. So I'm going to go into my car leasing contracts, and I'm going to look at this contract here for a BMW lease I have. So I've recorded all this information against my contract file related to this contract. So now this is all information I can search across and use to view the contract. All the fields you see here come straight out of the box, but of course the system is completely configurable. Any fields you don't wish, we can hide. Any additional fields you like are easily creatable. So just running through some of the information we record. Obviously we give a title to the contract itself. We assign it to part of our organizational structure, so this is where it's going to show up within our organizational hierarchy, and also allow us to give the permissions out to who can see it, because based on who can see that part of the business. We obviously choose a contractual partner, and we do this by looking up to the database of partners that we keep within the system. We choose a status of the contract, so obviously this is going to be fluid, and as the contract is moving through perhaps our negotiation or process, this will change as we move, so it could be this stage in negotiation. And again, you can then view your contracts by everything that's currently in negotiation, and you can see how long it's been at that status and who it's with. We obviously want to record some date terms, so we have the ultimate term, which is the end of this contract. So we've said this is a contract of 24 months. So it expires on the 28th of February 2018. And now this is the system will automatically remind us in incremental periods leading up to the expiry of this contract that that's going to happen. And then we can record some perhaps termination dates if we've agreed this with a contractual partner. So perhaps we've said, actually we can terminate this contract from 6 months of the expiration if agreed with the contractual partner. And again, what we've done is that's going to create another reminder that we have the ability to terminate early with the contractual partner, and we'll be notified of this in due course. So on the right here, we have our thumbnails of any documents within the system. So we can see here we've got a PDF of the contract itself and an image of the car that we're talking about that's leased. So by clicking onto here, we can see the document itself. And all the documents, once they're stored within Easy, are full text searchable. So we can search across any content within the document, and it'll highlight it to show where it's found that word or phrase. There's no limit to the amount of documents or content type that you can store within the system. So if you wish to add more information within here, we have this drop zone, so you can easily drag and drop different documents within here, perhaps emails, anything really related to that contract that you would like to save alongside that contract file and allow people to view. We save it, and now all those documents are saved alongside that contract file. Now in our thumbnails, we have 4 different items. So I mentioned the ability to add additional fields related to your contract types themselves. So here's one I created for this car leasing contract type. I created a car details tab. So moving along here now, I wanted some additional information related to my car leasing contract, so I easily and quickly created these fields here. A nice feature is being able to link different contracts together. So while here we're talking about a car leasing contract, perhaps I have an insurance contract related to this car as well, which I have saved in a different repository in my system. So under my car insurance contracts under here, I have this car policy. But I've linked it to this contract, so at any point I can click the button here, and that'll now take me to my Aviva car policy, and I can see that at a glance. So moving along our tabs along the top, our correspondence tab here, we store any type of correspondence that comes inbound or goes externally related to this contractual partner within here. So from now on, we have this complete transparent view of everything related to the complete negotiation or renegotiation of this contract. So if we want to record a piece of correspondence, perhaps coming in, we can say there was a call in from supplier, and we can say I want to let someone know, so they'll get an email knowing that there's a message within the system, and that's now logged within the correspondence tab. Same if we wish to send anything externally, we can send emails directly from the system. So we'll say I'm going to send something to myself, and we'll say include the contract itself, and again now that email is stored within my correspondence tab. So again, now anyone within the business who has access to this contract has this full transparency and visibility of everything related to this contract. If we are recording any payment series in the system, that's very easy as well. So any costs or earnings related to this contract can be recorded here. So I can see I've got my lease costs here, which are £400 a month, which is telling me it's going to cost me £9,600 until the end of the contract. And if I wish to add any more, it's as simple as creating a new payment series. I can say new tyres. We'll say this was a single payment, £300. It's outgoing. We'll save that. And that's now saved in my payment series. And then what that means, as well as being able to run the reports against all the information or different contract types in the system, I can also view a dynamically created report just by clicking on this link specific to this contract itself. Another nice function of Easy Contract is the ability to store contractual templates within the system. So if you are the contract creators yourselves in your organization and you have contract templates that you use regularly, you can generate them from the system. We can say what contract template do we want to use depending on what I've got saved. And that'll add it to a document in my Documents tab. And I can then add the content or change the content as I need. But now what we're able to do is completely version control this document. So if I want to make some changes internally to it, I can edit it. So let's make a change here. Let's save that. And now what you'll notice is my version changes from 1 to 2. So now anyone viewing this document will be able to see the latest version with any changes and any track changes if we track them in Word. But we will always be able to see the version information, and then we can see any previous versions and the user who changed them, any comments they made, the time and date they did, and then we can roll back or view the older versions just at the click of a button. So by clicking this here, we'll now see the version without the change. We can also check in or check out any documents if we wish to work on them for a period of time without anyone else being able to make any changes, or perhaps you want to work with them offline. So it's very simple. Again, just take the document, we check out, and that's now locked to the particular user. Again, anyone will be able to view, but they'll be able to see that it's locked to me, so they won't be able to make any changes to that specific version. We talked about being able to send the contracts externally, but internally it's better to have things a little bit better tracked. So what we can do is we can create workflows in the system to send around the organization. And a nice function here is the ability to be able to build the workflow as we see fit for a specific contract. So I can say, well, I want to send this to finance, and then purchasing and management board, and I'll copy the workflow, and then it's built up here. I can then add some tasks, so I can say to finance, I need you to check financial figures, and I can give them a time and date I want that by. I can then send it. It'll be in finances, anyone in the group finance is inbox, so they'll then be able to do whatever they need to do, whatever task I've given them, and then forward it on. And now within the status, here we've got this full audit log of everything that's happened to this contract from creation to now. So everything, every time we added any documents is all stored in here. And at the bottom, we've got an audit trail of where it is in the organization. So we can see it was with me. I sent it at this time and date. It's now with my colleague Billy. It's locked with him to check the financial figures. Once he's done what he needs to do, it'll be with the purchasing department. And again, we'll see that complete time and date stamp and user stamp, and we can have that full audit log of everything that's happened, and we can see where that document and contract is in our process. A couple of other things I want to touch on as we're running out of time is the administration function. So if you have this, you have your user is permitted to be an administrator, then they can create groups within the system, add and remove users, create a user exchange. So if somebody leaves the organization or goes on long-term leave, you can make sure somebody else is a stand-in for them and gets all their contracts. So again, now nothing gets lost. It's not lost on a shared drive anywhere or on someone's hard drive. And you can choose to leave active, deactivate, or delete that user. You can create your own fields within the system as well, so nice and easily. So here is one I created for the car leasing contract, and the special fields we created there for engine size. And it's a case of just defining what the label is called and what type of field it is. Is it a drop down? Is it just a free text box? Is it a date box? Is it a history box? Anything like that. Is it a mandatory field? So does somebody have to fill it in before they can go on any further or not? And you can define your organizational structure within here and add different departments or units into it as you see fit. Just finally touching on some personal preferences. You can tailor the system to have your own personal folders. So you can store contracts where you like within the system, so you can review them quickly to your own standards. And we have out-of-office functionality as well, so not so much the user exchange, whereas if somebody's left the organization, but here perhaps you're just going on holiday for a couple of weeks, business doesn't stop, so you can say I'm going to forward into some stand-ins, and I'll send a message to them saying, please do my work. Okay, so we're quickly running out of time. That was just a very quick introduction to Easy Contract. There are a number of other features and functions that we didn't even get a touch on, but hopefully that's whet your appetite. So please speak to your account manager. We're always happy to come in and show you things in a little bit more detail. One thing I would just like to finish on before we go is we've just released a new white paper, actually, talking about best practice for contract management within your organization. So if you head to www.easysoftware.co.uk, have a look in our news section, and one of the newest entries in there is regarding this document, and you can from there click a link, fill in a couple of details, and download the white paper. It's authored in conjunction by ourselves, industry experts, and the IACCM, which is the industry body for contract and commercial management. So you might find that interesting. It might be something you wish to share around your organisation.